for Evolve and Elevate and with Erica. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in. We are thankful for you to be here with us tonight. I am your host, Erica Bishop from Evolve and Elevate with Erica, as well as transformational life coach of Empowered to Prosper coaching and consulting, where I help individuals get past their hurts, habits, and hangups through leveraging the tools and resources from emotional intelligence so that you can unpack all those things that trigger you so that you can live a life of abundance through learning how to communicate your what your needs are through your living a life through a better way of how to work through your emotions. How do you talk about how you want to communicate what your needs are? So we want to also thank Elisa Johnson from the 1212 community for being here with us again this weekend. So I'm going to turn it over to her so she, as always, can introduce herself to you. Welcome, Alicia.
Hello, 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 everyone. I am Alicia Johnson, the creator of the 1212 community. And the 1212 community has been developed to help everyone who chooses to learn how to recalibrate their lives 12 hours for God, 12 hours for man. And we do that in a myriad of ways, one of being journaling through the process. And this process is one that we do every Monday through Friday for 30 days at a time at 5 a.m. And we cover varying topics from forgiveness, all of the internal areas that you need to address. That is what we do in this community so that you can live a life that is balanced inside and out. So there we go.
Awesome. So, as always, thank you so much for your time. So, if you have been with us on this journey, so we started this broadcast back in June and we have been diving into a lot of different conversations. We started with dismantling dysfunction. What did that look like? How do we recognize those different things? How do we pull apart and pull back the layers of dysfunction? How do we rebuild our lives? How do we identify what they were? How do we understand the parts of where God was putting us back together? How do we walk that out? How do we build our lives? And then last week we were talking about don't get offended because I listen to God and not you, which led us to this conversation about alignment. So if you have someone that you feel as though needs to be a part of this conversation, I would ask that you would tag someone. I will ask that you also like this broadcast as well as share. So go ahead and get your friends to be a part of this conversation as we're diving into what does it mean to be in alignment in all areas of our lives. So we may not get to everything in this particular broadcast and may carry over to a couple of other ones, but we're going to start with alignment tonight. What does that look like? What does it really mean God's way to be in full alignment? And what does it take for us to be in alignment? Because oftentimes I think we throw the word alignment around because it sounds good. We hear it in church. We get a lot of it from the prosperity movement that we were a part of a lot in a lot of different ministries. But alignment also takes about some sacrifice on our part, because alignment also means when you think about getting in alignment with what God has called us to, first we have to know and understand what is it that we are aligning to that God has called us to. And what does it mean that we need to also give up that we're not doing that he has called us to, which is going to be different than some things that we think we already know, which means that there's going to have to be some unlearning that has to take place. So there's some things that we're going to have to pull apart to get realigned and to get our spirit, mind, and body to be in complete alignment with what it is that he has called us to. So our pace will change, our life has to adjust, we have to unlearn some things, and we're not going to look like other people. So, what we used to look at and our perceptions have to also look different. So, there's a scripture in the book of Amos that said, how can two walk together unless they agree? And when we think about agreement, we first have to agree with God. And we talked about it last week, oftentimes, how sometimes when God has called us to a thing and called us to a place of alignment, there are oftentimes when we have to come out of a place of the thing that's familiar to us and a place that's comfortable. We get beside ourselves and want to negotiate a little bit and ask God a lot of questions as to why and do I have to and when do we have to do it, and ask a lot of other details. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Alicia, as we kind of get into a little bit of this conversation. When we talk about alignment and God begins to pull us, sometimes push us, and even drag us, depending upon how we responded to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when God began to reshape your life and you began to realize when God was realigning some things, what did that look like for you?
Um, it was very humbling and is very humbling because being in alignment with the world system versus being in alignment in God's economy are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And just because things may look like they're clicking in the world and it looks like you're moving in the right direction and it looks like you're doing all of the right things, that spiritual, mental, and physical is what is how you can tell if you're out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the physical, I was doing things physically first, mentally second, and spiritually third. And so, because I was doing things physically first, I was doing things based on appearance. And then I would get my mind to compromise or to make excuses or to make it look right.
Mm-hmm.
I know it doesn't feel like it's something I should be doing, but this is the way that I'm going to be able to accomplish XYZ. So your mind is the middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind is the bridge between heaven and earth. And what God began to show me is that it didn't matter what I was doing because I was doing it physically first, mentally second. I never had peace. Like the spirit was always consulted last. Like I would do all of the things and then I would pray and ask God to bless it.
Mm-hmm.
I would put it all together and then I would ask God to keep it together.
Mm-hmm.
And that was with everything. My marriage, I would make the purchase first and then ask God to help me to pay the bill. I would get into the relationship first and then ask Kevin to bless the relationship. So that was my MO with everything. And that is when I started to slip into like depression and doubt and uncertainty. And when you're in that place in too many areas of your life, you just tap out. Like you just get to a place where you like, God help me. And it sounds like begging. When you have too many man-made progressions in your life, all of your prayers sound like begging. You cannot go boldly before the throne because you praying consistently for God to clean up your mess or to bless your mess.
Mm-hmm.
And when I totally surrendered, I was like, God, you got to show me how to turn this around. And that's that prayer that I tell people about with this journaling work. That's how Always Journal came about.
Mm-hmm.
God, if you show me how to turn all of these areas around, I'm feeling like a pig. I'm gonna help everybody because this is awful. And so that's how the alignment process started in my life. But the beginning of the alignment process with heaven means that there has to be an end to what you created. So that stripping away piece is real. All of the friends, all of, honey, God stripped away my friends. My bank account was like a negative $8,000. I gotta find the I did a print screen of it. I printed it out because I couldn't even believe it. God took everything and put it in a deficit. Like everything was just like so beyond my ability to repair it. I had to surrender. And so that's how heaven does the realignment process if you're serious about it. If you're serious about it and you want heaven's help, heaven is going to place you in situations where you cannot help yourself.
He will. Um, he, I'm laughing because I'm thinking of all these different things because God does your stuff in the secret place. He tries to do stuff for you in the secret place so he don't have to put you on blast in
Mm-hmm.
public. And
Mm-hmm.
you think about all the stuff that you went through, but God stripped you privately.
Mm-hmm. Thank
And
God.
the stuff that, yeah, and the stuff that you went through in those moments where God, especially when he was stripping your image.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, one of the things that popped in my mind most significantly when he was, being in ministry, you gravitate to these images in ministry that get layered on you. It's bad. And you have to look a certain way. You have to poise yourself a certain way. You wear certain things. And when God was showing me that, we got to deal with this image and this persona that you have that you've created
Mm.
that's not you. So one particular day, I had on this bad suit. I'm telling you, I just knew I was dressed to the nines. Okay, I had on, it was a blue suit. I was dressed to the nines. I had laid out my suit the night before. I knew, I was like, okay, I'm wearing my suit. My shoes to match. I was looking real cute. So I put on my pantyhose and I had a hole from my knee up to my waist. Now it didn't go no further than my knee because my skirt stopped like at my calf.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the biggest hole up my leg. So didn't have time to change. But it was like in I had to laugh at myself because on the outside I look nice. But up under that skirt, I had that big old hole up around my whole leg. And it was like, see, you ain't as cute as you think you are you? Let's humble you just a little bit, man. So the whole time it's like, oh, you look so nice. And I'm thinking to myself, child, if you only knew what was up under this skirt. I'm laughing the entire time because it was like, let's simmer you down just a little bit because you have become so vain in some places because you're taking on some things in that natural place
Mm-hmm.
because you have put on some stuff that I didn't ask you to do because this is not what I've called you to a thing, but I didn't ask you to put on some of this other stuff to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about alignment, he was even stripping the image that was going with some of the other things that I thought I needed for the calling. That he was like, no, you don't need that because that has nothing to do with the anointing. That has nothing to do with what I've called you. If anything, it's going to be in the way with what I've called you to because your head is getting big in some places where it's not even necessary. And it was something that small. It was like, let me just check you a little bit. I'm gonna do it privately, but I'm gonna let you know. Yep, you got some flaws in some places. I'm gonna hide it in between me and you, but you still got them. So we're gonna fix them. I'm gonna let you look cute today. But ever since then, I was like, okay, Lord, thank you. Because that was something that I needed for me. Um, and it was the same thing. It was the relationships that had become idols
Mm-hmm.
because you began to look to people who you do value relationships. And we all have to value a relationship. You would treat your relate, especially when God relationships are gifts, and you should treat them as such.
Mm-hmm.
But there are sometimes when we go too far, when we treat our relationships better than our relationships with God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was those that were getting in the way where God said, you know what? We got to separate. And he began to take the scales off of my eyes. He said, I need you to see the human side of them, not this place that you have placed them. So there were that that's when the dagger started coming out, and the stuff that I started hearing and what they really thought about me and not what I thought they thought about me. Because and then understanding out of my own personal issues of the healing that I needed from the rejection and the chasing after rejection and the abandonment and the uh um those things that put me in a position to
Mm-hmm.
where I was out of alignment with God, and putting myself in a position when I was doing more for others than what God told me I was supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to be favorable in their eyes instead of being more favorable to God and what he called me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say God will shut doors and shut down stuff so quick and dry up your brook,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, well, God, what in the world? He said, so let me get all of your attention. Let me dry everything up around you that you don't have nowhere else to turn but to me, so that you can understand that I need you. He forces you to a place of alignment
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that you can get your whole focus straight, your whole prayer life back together, come back to your senses so that you can get refocused and understand how to walk this thing out.
And that's for people who are yearning for God. That's for people who are yearning for God. The unfortunate part is that a lot of people don't understand what they need, because in like the world that we live in now with social media and all of those things, people people have replaced God with so many things. Like people act like they're how can I put it? People act like they really understand and love God when they have everything. When they have, like the most I'm trying to say this in a good way, like mega church pastors and people of that nature, of that ilk. It's easy to be in alignment or say that you're in alignment when it looks like everything is flowing for you. So
Mm-hmm.
you can fool a whole lot of people. And in fooling people, it is a disservice to so many, because like we were talking about earlier, God wants to do the things in the secret places. It is not heaven's desire to embarrass you. It is not heaven's desire to humiliate you. It is not heaven's desire to rake you over the coals. Heaven wants to correct you and heal you and all of those things in a secret place. But because the world is now getting so out of balance, there is no more shame. There is no more secrecy. There is no more work in the secret places because I'm showing everything to the world.
Yes.
And because people are showing everything to the world, that means that heaven has to deal with you at an even deeper level to get to those places that you really don't want people to see. So this whole I'm just keeping it real and there's no shame to my game and you are setting yourself up for some real spiritual warfare. Real spiritual warfare. And I don't think people realize that. Because when the world gets involved with things of God, of sacred matters, it's going to be perverted, it's going to be diluted, and it is going to be structured for the masses. God is a creator. God is not a duplicator. And for everyone to do, God is calling everyone to do different things at different times. So everyone doing the same thing at the same time is an indicator that that's not of God. God may be telling you that you need to just go and be by yourself, but the world is telling you that you need to do X, Y, and Z for your spiritual enhancement or your spiritual enlightenment. And so that's why the one time we were talking about, like people were talking about the shadow work and all of that stuff. God is not calling everyone to do shadow work. That shadow work, I guess in Christian ease would be like that internal soul cleansing work. But the shadow work, that's a whole nother ballpark. That's a whole nother bag of tricks. But everyone is not supposed to be doing that at the same time because energetically, that's a whole nother ballpark. A whole nother ballpark. And the enemy is having a field day with it. A field day.
To your point, when you talk about we're gonna use the word trends,
Trend.
right?
Uh-huh.
Trends. When people get into these trends, people have to also understand that a lot of these trends that people are in are leading a lot of people, and I'm gonna go and put it out there and I'm saying it. I said what I said. They're pushing a lot of people to witchcraft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they don't realize it because they think it's the trendy thing to do. Because people aren't in their secret place to be in alignment with God, to hear what they need to be doing, and they're just following
Mm-hmm.
the next best thing that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're opening themselves to realms and places that they don't know anything about.
And alignment does not mean that everything clicks. Like alignment in the world looks like everything is just falling into place. When you're in heavenly alignment, that means that you are following God.
Order and
You are
obedience.
following, yes, you are doing, and it is not, it sometimes it don't even look like it's gonna connect. Alignment means that you are following love. You are following peace. You are following the truth. You are following the way. You're following every characteristic of God that is going to lead you to where you need to be. But the world wants you to think that it's I want a car, so I manifested a car. And here's my car. I wanted a house, so I manifested a house, so I have my house. I wanted a man, so I manifested a man, so now I have that. And it's like that's not what being in alignment is. or means. It feels good. See, anything that tickles the flesh too much, like it's so exciting. Like when your flesh gets too excited, that's an indicator that you may not be in alignment. Because when you are in true alignment with God, by the time the thing happens, you're not even moved by it. Because so many things have happened in the spirit realm that has prepared you for that moment in time when it happens. You've already spent so much time with that thing in the spirit, in the heavenlies, that by the time it gets to earth, I'm not moved by this.
Mm-mm.
I'm not moved by this. But people that get so excited about the things that they see and the things that they have and the things that they have manifested or whatever, that concerns me, because that means that you're more focused on the thing than the creator. When I started to get into alignment, the whole, like, I went through a whole like paradigm shift. It was wild. It's like you're off balance. You're just, it's like a chemical change. You change on a cellular level.
You don't even feel like yourself. You feel out of alignment being in alignment.
Right. That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
You feel completely off balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
one thing about heavenly alignment, it ain't ABCD.
Mm-mm.
No way, never. Following God is never ABCD. If you think you ABCD, you really might be doing it by yourself. Because God is not ABCD. He would go from A to Z and make up a letter in between that you ain't never seen and zip you back somewhere else. And you be like, Lord, what in the world? And before you know it, you are there in the thing and you will have walked in it. And you talked about this a couple of shows ago. You walking in the thing before you realize you have sat in it for a minute. And then it's like, wait a minute, I'm in it.
Mm-hmm.
And God has a way of doing something in you, and He'll have you focus on something else completely different. So that one, you don't have time for your flesh to be tickled because your spirit is so focused on something else. And most of the time is you focus on Him because you're so tuned into what it is that He's saying and where your next step is. People are asking you, well, how did you? And you like, I don't even know. You just trying to keep walking by being obedient to the steps that He's telling you to take. You don't even have time to get caught up in it
Mm-mm.
at all for
Nope.
your flesh to even give any glory in it at all. He has a way of shutting down the flesh completely so that all you have the opportunity to do is to walk in the spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
And
so out of it, you just like, I'm just here.
never, ever, 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 ever think that you have figured God out.
Never. Oh my
It's
God.
like, when people are asking you how something happened, then they're trying to gather intel so that they can put the pieces together.
And duplicate.
She did this and she did that, she did this, she did that, she did that. I don't even repeat the same thing twice. Like once God has walked me through something, see, I learned that a long time ago when God was healing my marriage and God had me do certain things at certain times, and it was just amazing how everything lined up. And then after the marriage was healed, then we went through the situation with our son. I was like, "Oh God, I got this now. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do this." God said, "That's what you gonna do. That's what you gonna do."
No
Oh,
recipe is the same. Mm-mm.
you think you figured me out?
Oh no. No.
Honey, that journey was a totally different journey. Like every assignment has different instructions. The
Everyone.
only thing that remains constant is the instructor. That's it. The instructions consistently change.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very arrogant for you to say that you understand alignment. See, when people start to tell you that they know how to do certain things, this is why when we're talking about witchcraft and stuff, I do know people that are, well, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, people that are witches, and I have some fun conversations with people. One of the things is funny to me because the God that I serve doesn't have a whole bunch of hocus pocus and formulas and all of that. So we got into a discussion one time, and it was about, because it's a lot of activity. This is why a lot of times people that are doing things that are alternative, like cultish type things, they seem to be so much better at it than like Christians. Like sometimes it looks like Christians are just getting beat all up because it's this like, well, how can they do this? How can, honey, they work at it. They work at it. They are consistent with it. They study it. They are committed to that thing. And my question is that because I have such a strong and consistent relationship with God, heaven for me is an ever present help. And in order to be an ever present help, you have to be in alignment with heaven. Like you got to like walk lockstep with heaven all the time. But when you start to deal with people that are like purported witches and warlocks and all of those people, honey, they got a formula for everything. And I was like, well, what if you can't get the pigeon feather? Or what if you can't get the toenail of a orange possum? What if you can't? So the whole spell is just ruined. I just don't understand this.
Mm-hmm.
But because people are so willing to put things in a recipe and to rely more on tradition and to rely more on what other people have done, it keeps a lot of people out of alignment with God because that means that you have to be constantly malleable in the hands of
Yes,
God.
you do. You do.
Because in order to continue to go higher, because see, alignment with heaven means that you have to consistently grow.
Yes.
You have to consistently remain malleable in the hands of God. Because if you want to continue to enter into the Holy of the Holies, you have to continue to ascend. You have to continue to peel away. And you cannot put that on a formula because every level requires a different version of you.
I have my seat on the potter's wheel.
Amen.
You have to. You have to have your seat on the potter's wheel. Don't wait for God to put you on it. Have your seat on the potter's wheel and jump back on that at will because that's that part of being malleable. You have to
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, God, here, do what you need to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that in order for me to grow and to go to the next level or to be stretched, I have to be flexible. I have to be able to move at your will, and you have to be able to use me however you need to. So I can't be locked into what I think I know. Now, yes, I have to use wisdom, of
Of
course.
course, of
Yes,
course.
I have to understand the understand how to hear God and all those different things. There's certain things that are there, but I can't get so locked in and be like, oh no, God would never do that because this is how we always do it. He does A, B, C, and D. That's why you can go back to your home church and they still doing the same building fund they had in 1972.
And ain't no
And,
building.
and ain't nothing changed.
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
Mm-mm. But people, I think that that's the thing that people fail to realize, that when you are seeking to be in alignment with heaven, you're going to be in a state of constant change.
Why is it that we
People,
don't like change?
I don't, it's like people want to get there. They want to get to this certain place of stability. They want to have the cars, the house, the this, the that. And once I get here, I'm going to make sure that I can maintain what I have, maintain the status, maintain the relationships, maintain this, maintain that. And that's boring. That's really boring. I watch a lot of like documentaries and things like that. And I was watching this one documentary with like the uber rich, like they're in the gated, like the ultra gated communities. Like they don't have to leave these communities at all. They have the Michelin restaurants in there, they have the golf courses, they have everything that they need. But they also are surrounded by the same people all the time. How boring is that? You know how diverse this world is, how God is present, is omnipresent. God is in everyone that you meet.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to isolate yourself and to think that you have figured the system out, you are, that muscle of growth is just like atrophying. I mean, it's just gonna, it's gonna dissolve, diminish.
Mm-hmm.
And God is about growth and expansion and knowledge and wisdom and all of those things. But in order to reach the varying levels of those things, it's a very humbling process, because the knowledge that you had 5 minutes ago ain't going to take you through tomorrow in God's economy. What you thought you know nothing. Every night I go to sleep, I'm like, thank you, God, for the knowledge that got me through today. I know nothing. That's all I know. I used what I needed today. Tomorrow is a whole new game, a whole new ball game.
It is. I think the most beautiful thing when you think about knowledge and growth is to get revelation. When God gives you a revelation,
Mm-hmm.
that is the most beautiful thing you could ever experience, because it alters and shifts your life in such a way there is never any going back. Once you gain that revelation, everything about you changes. Your
Mm-hmm.
perspective changes, your wisdom changes, your knowledge shifts, and everything about you automatically just expands. And to be in a place, like you said, where you never want to ever do anything any different and just box yourself in to just, I want to know just this and this only, and never gain any other type of revelation or knowledge or understanding of something different.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to put yourself in a position and never grow?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I truly believe, like, I want people to be as knowledgeable as possible, because that's how you advance society. That's how things change. But the problem is that so many people weaponize their knowledge, and they don't use their knowledge for good. They
Mm-hmm.
use it for evil. They use it for greed. They use it for um,
Game. Mm-hmm.
self gain and all of those things. But when you, I love being around, I honestly like being around people that have old money.
Oh
People that have had money so long that money doesn't even phase them. Like they're doing things for the good of humanity. And when you cross paths with people like that, you get to see life from a whole different perspective. And
Mhm.
you begin to understand that those people who have a lot have a huge responsibility to society at large, because it's very important that you understand that when heaven positions you to be the beneficiary of great wealth, great knowledge, great exposure, you have a responsibility to help others. And
Mhm.
when you are around people that really get that, that's powerful. I've only been around a few people like that who are very humble with their, I mean, they have, well, like, they have so much wealth, they don't even identify their wealth. Like, they don't even, it doesn't even register. Like, you trip off of it more than they do. Like, it's such a non-issue. It's like boring to them. Like, they want to help people. They want to see that light in their eyes. They want to see people light up with education and information and all of that. And I think that that's what we should all be, and no matter what level you are, everyone is rich in something. And it
Mhm.
is our responsibility to share that light and spread that love at whatever level we have. But because people are so bent on, I gotta get mine, I gotta get mine, I gotta get mine, and people just don't have a ceiling. People don't know when enough is enough. And that is what takes people out of alignment, because you don't know when enough, you don't know when you're full. You don't know when you've had enough. You don't know, like in our community, it's like, what's your number? What has God told you that you need? But in this society, it's like $1 million isn't enough. $2 million isn't enough. $50 million. How much is enough? That's why you're never in alignment, because you're always reaching for more.
There is, let me see it. I'm gonna find it. That brought me to a scripture. Um, there's a scripture that talks about being a being a vessel with holes in them, being a cistern, vessel
Mm-hmm.
with holes,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that whatever you get always leaks out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what had come to me when you were talking about people not having a ceiling and not knowing when they're full, because there's like they have holes in their pockets and they're like vessels with holes in them because it's always leaking and it never looks like it's getting full because their vessels are cracked. And when you think about that, there's so much healing that has to happen in this world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're always chasing after something, because we're trying to fill the void within ourselves, because we think that that thing we're chasing is going to fill that hole that we have within ourselves. And that's not a natural hole that needs to be filled, it's a spiritual void.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
And
because we don't spend time in the secret place to get an alignment to see where exactly we need to be and what it is that needs to be filled,
mm-hmm.
we find ourselves always going, grabbing, and it keeps leaking back out. We can't get enough. We have what we call this insatiable spirit. It's never satisfied with anything. And
Mm-hmm.
you keep going, 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 going. And then you find yourself never at a place of true peace.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's not, and I'm not saying you can't have anything. Please understand. I
Oh,
like nice things, and everybody should be wealthy. I do believe that. And there's a
mm-hmm.
measure of wealth for everybody. And I believe that I believe abundance is your birthright. I do believe that. But there are some spaces that we can dive into or cross over into where we have to enjoy and get to a place where we're truly exhale and really enjoy those places peacefully, and don't always find ourselves running and chasing after something.
Hmm. And one of the things that God really like, one of the things that really helped me to slow down. And see, you've got to first of all desire to be in alignment. And
Hmm.
then you have to be willing to slow down enough for God to place you into alignment. And then you have to be patient enough to allow God to do a complete work. And
Hmm.
it's the patience where people miss the opportunity to really let heaven do a good job, as it relates to bringing you into alignment. Because when heaven strips everything away, it's like you feel like you're lacking something. And that when I got to that place where I felt like I don't have any friends, I don't have any money, I don't have, everything was a deficit. I didn't have this, I didn't have that. And God was like, I have stripped all of these things away so that it can be filled with love. See, people don't really understand the value of love. People don't understand the currency of love. And love is the thing that places you in alignment with heaven, because God is love. And love is the thing that can't be bought, it can't be weighed, it can't be measured, it can only be experienced. But love is something that can or needs to fill the void of, like, when you're heavily depressed, that means that you've turned away from love. When
Hmm.
you are anxious, that means you've turned away from love. When you are doubting, you have turned away from love. So when heaven removes all of those things, that's an indicator that those barren areas need to be filled with love.
Hmm.
And what is love? Love is patience. Love is kindness. Love is long suffering. Love is love is everything that the world does not want you to be.
Exactly.
And when you operate in love and true compassion, you make people nervous,
Hmm.
because love is a mirror, it's a reflection. Like when you show up in so much love and so much patience and so much joy and so much peace,
Hmm.
when people are out of alignment, they have issue and they take issue with you. And you have to be in so much alignment that people's discomfort with you doesn't throw you off track.
Hmm.
And this is why that continual and continuous infilling of that communication with heaven has to be done on a daily basis, because you can become depleted real quick,
Hmm.
real quick.
Hmm.
It has to be a daily
Hmm.
process,
Hmm.
because love has to be renewed consistently.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I may go to work, I may, like, after a Sunday service, I may be full of love, but that ain't gonna last through Tuesday, Wednesday. Like I might be the most loving person on Monday, but if I don't get replenished come Friday, I'll be a Tasmanian devil. I'm like, oh, angry with just, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Love keeps you in alignment.
it does. And speaking of that scripture, 1 Corinthians 13,
Hmm.
um, where it says love is, um, I had to go back and say Erica is.
Mm,
I had
mm,
to be that love when you talk about being love,
Mm-hmm.
because God is love. And I had to learn how to love myself. And everything you said was so true. When I was in that place of depression, when I was in that place of being overwhelmed of anxiety, I wasn't allowing myself to receive the love of God,
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to gather love from all these other places except from God. I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to replace it with all these other things. But it was when I really received God's love, after He had removed everything else, what I thought was loneliness was not, because He replaced what looked like it was loneliness with His love.
Mm-hmm. And I think that might be a topic we need to unpack. Like
Yes,
love.
yes.
Like love. Like we talk about, I mean, like the love of your child and the love. And we've had, I mean, people have done studies on love and things of that nature. But to understand like how love permeates the atmosphere, how
Mhm,
you can love has a distinct vibration. Like love has a when you are operating in love, like for example, God allowed me to do this exercise and I was like, oh my gosh. When you are feeling like you have to understand where you feel love in your body. Like when I'm in a space of love and I am really focused on just understanding and appreciating all the love that is available to me, I feel it surrounding me. It like envelops me. It's in the atmosphere. It covers me from head to toe. When I start to get into anxiety and I start to worry about things, I feel it like my chest will start to like contract. And then when I start to feel like anxious with, things worried about my kids and stuff like that, I feel it in my legs. And then, it's like certain areas of your body. And the further you move away from that all encompassing love, it's like the window closes, like you feel less and less protected.
mhm,
But love is like, oh, just, oh my gosh. When you have really encountered true love, like not lustful love, but just that love of God, that
mhm,
yes, agape love, that love, nothing compares to it.
mm,
Nothing compares to it.
mm,
But the key is allowing yourself to remain in it. Like you have to do work to remain in that
mhm,
state of love. That's not something
mhm,
that you just say, oh, I took a course on agape love and I'm good.
mm,
I passed that
mm,
class. I did that. It is
mm,
a consistent posture. It is a consistent peeling away. It is work.
mhm, mhm. I mean, so much so, I had to stand in the mirror for months, years, and tell myself, I love you. To break down all of the things that were familiar, all of the ugliness that had been there, all of the negative things that had been said, to reshape my mind
Mhm,
so that I could truly walk in that place of love.
mhm,
And and I've shared this before, for my heart to be healed as part of my healing journey. My prayer then, and it still is now, God, I need you to love people through me.
that's good.
And that's a constant prayer of mine,
Mhm.
to keep my heart open, because when you have been hurt, your love can be very conditional. And you quick to be like, I'm capping it. Like, I'm done. Like, no more. I'm ran out. I'm done. That's it. No more today. You should have caught me last week. I don't want to do no more. Love the look. Soul. I'm pulling down the window. No, we out. So when God loves through people through you, the forgiveness, it helps the forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you to be more understanding. It helps you to have more compassion. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have any boundaries. It doesn't mean that you don't have any discernment. But what it does, it allows you to operate and to truly see people through the eyes of God
Mm-hmm.
and not through your own way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was left up to Erica,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been a no-go.
Mm-hmm. And it's
But when you but when you ask God to love people through you,
mm-hmm.
you truly begin to have a heart for how God wants to love people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it makes it completely different. I turn it over to you.
And when you see people, one of the things that helps me is that you know that everybody on this planet has been given the breath of life, and that breath of life is God. And so every encounter is a holy encounter. Whether or
Mhm.
not people operate at the highest level available to them is not my concern. Because I never forget a quote from Mother Teresa, like when she would, work with like, the children, she worked in Calcutta and with all of the, the underprivileged and all of that. And she would say something like, look at Jesus in all of his distressing disguises. Like God is present in everyone. And when you begin to understand that, it's easier to love because it puts you in the posture of really challenging yourself to see if God is testing you. Because a lot of times we think that we are the ones who are being used mightily. We think that we're the ones, but a lot of times God is using other people to see where we are. So we can't be so arrogant in thinking that just because you are a certain religion, just because you do certain things, just because you give, just because you. That's when God really began to teach. I pity no one. I pity no one. Honey, that homeless person on the street could be one of my biggest tests. Like, I truly believe we're entertaining angels. Like, we do not know enough to know the moment, the place, the time. Honey, you could go out to meet the garbage man to take your trash. And that could be one of the best encounters you've had in years. You just never know.
You don't.
You never know. You always need to be in the posture of love.
Mhm.
Always.
Mhm.
And this is why it's you can tell that that is what's missing in our world. People just do not understand love. We talk a lot about the self-love piece. And the self-love piece does not mean you isolate yourself and you just do everything good for yourself. And it doesn't, self love means that you love yourself enough to surrender to whatever God needs you to do. Like you are so confident in the assignment that God has given you that you are willing in a loving way to sacrifice everything that you thought you believed to allow heaven to do whatever needs to be done.
And that's that true alignment.
That is that true alignment. It's not about, I did this for me because I need to protect my peace. I did this for me. Honey, when you're in true alignment and you're operating in love, heaven may send you right into the war zone. Heaven may send you right into the argument. because you may be the demonstration of love that heaven needs to use to turn this entire situation around. And so, one of the things that is so interesting is that with alignment, it doesn't give you the right to run from conflict. Alignment means that wherever God puts you, you right where you're supposed to be. And that is hard for a lot of people to understand because people have this attitude that you got to network with the right people. You got to be in the right rooms. You got to sit at the right table. Honey, when you are in alignment, if the table is a dirt floor in somebody's little shack and heaven puts you there, you right where you're supposed to be.
You know what? Oh my God, Jesus. Woo! Okay. Alignment does not mean easy.
No.
Alignment does not mean perfection. Alignment does not mean that my life has to be full of lights and rainbows and everything about me. My alignment does not mean that um, I'm walking this path and I'm not going to have any thorns and thistles along the way. That is not what it means.
Mm-hmm. And people make you want to believe that when people say, I've made it I've overcome all of these things and I've done it and you can do it too. I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that because everyone has a different journey. Some people need to be in the hood. Some people need to be in the shanty towns. Some people, when you avail yourself to the love of God, you are abundant wherever you sit. And God showed me that.
Okay.
You know how you had those little African, like they don't have no currency, they don't have nothing, and they'll be like the guy with the bone through the nose and the this. That's the chief right there. Like every society has its successful people.
Look, let me tell you something. When I went to Uganda,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
loved it. Oh my God. This was one of the places that we went to. We were on top of a mountain,
Mm,
literally on top of a mountain. No
mm.
electricity,
My,
no
my
water.
God.
They built a house for us in 7 days
My God.
so that we could have a place to stay. They brought the water in so that they piped the water in, brought the water in so we could take a shower.
How long were you there?
We went up there for about 2, 3 days
And they built
to
a
that
house for you
particular
all? They
location.
built
And they built a house on location there
my God.
for us.
My God.
Now, I have never, so when it got dark, it was dark, dark.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen so much joy
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
peace and love and happiness
Mm-hmm.
with no shoes
Amen.
and the same clothes every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And just the gratitude and it was and it was and it was and what blessed me the most when we got there, because we went to one church and it was nothing but the walls, no roof, no windows, just the brick
My,
walls were there.
my God.
And when we got there, one of the brothers, he looked at us, he said, they took you away from us, but welcome home.
My God.
I sat there and I cried like a baby.
Mm.
I had never felt so much love. And the mothers
Mm.
could not speak English, did not, but just when I touched their hands, I'm talking about the elders that were, I know, 100+ years old, just to touch their hands
Mm.
and to feel the love through the touch of that hand
Mm-hmm.
was something I will never, ever, 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 ever forget.
My God. My God.
And and to come back home, coming home, and you walk in the grocery store and you say good morning, and people side eye you like, well, what you looking at me for?
Mm.
And this just, that, and it's, you're right. We do have to show love in a different way.
Honey.
We do have to show the true love of God in a different
And
way.
I don't think a
And
lot of people know what that is.
because they haven't experienced it. We've experienced hurt, we've experienced pain, we've created love to keep us from hurting. We've
Ooh, say that
created
again.
things.
Say that again.
We've created love to keep us from hurting. We've created things to make us feel better.
Mm,
But we haven't truly experienced the true love of God, because see, the true love
mm,
of God is transforming. The true love
mm.
of God, you are never the same.
See, that manufactured love means that I'm good. I'll love you as long as you reciprocate. As
Exactly.
long as you can help me in the way that I help you. Oh, I love you.
But you have to keep manufacturing that
Right.
love. But when you get tired of it,
Honey.
then it falls apart, then everything dissipates.
Mm,
But see, the true love of God never runs out. It don't have no energy level to it. It is just what it is.
my God.
God's love is pure.
Mm,
And when you run into that type of love, when you get bombarded
mm,
with the love of God,
mm,
there is no coming back from that.
mm,
There is no shifting back from that.
mm,
When you get hit with the wave of the true love of God, you really understand that no matter what you do or what you say, I can look at you, forgive you, and still love you, because I understand that God loves you,
mm-hmm,
and I can still love you from a distance
mm-hmm,
and understand that it's okay,
mm-hmm,
because I understand that you are a person. But see, that's when you understand people have their things that they have to heal from.
mm-hmm,
You begin to see past the facade, and you begin to see the spirit behind the stuff that's causing people to do and say and be what they are.
mm,
And see, true love makes sure that you know and understand, I am not going to expect me out of you.
mm, my God.
I'm only going to expect God to do what's necessary.
Mm-hmm,
So I don't put no expectations on you. So when God does it, he does it. And if you do something, that's just extra. But my expectations is only in God.
mm, mm,
So therefore I don't get disappointed.
mm, mm, mm. Honey, my God. Honey, we can take
So
this.
that's that other part about alignment.
Mm,
When I align myself with the love of God,
that's it.
then I don't get upset about my assignment either.
Mm-hmm,
Because I understand that because I'm in my assignment, I don't expect to get poured into from the people I'm assigned to.
mm-hmm,
My pouring comes from God,
mm,
not the people that I poured into.
mm.
Because they can't reciprocate.
When you understand that really your only assignment is love, like everything that you do, when you put love into it, it turns out differently. And what that means is that when you put love into a thing, that means that you are drawing on every resource, every fiber of your being. That's why I love the concept of soul food. Because you know that that soul food was food that normally people wouldn't be able to eat, but because our ancestors, in spite of all of the circumstances, still had that drive, that desire, and that love to keep going. Honey, anytime you can turn chitlins into a whole meal, pig's feet into a whole meal, pig's tail,
Mm-hmm.
and honey, make that stuff taste good. You can feel the love in something. Like you can literally feel, like if you sit on a couch, if you wrap up under a quilt or a blanket, or you eat something as simple as a piece of cornbread with
Mm-hmm.
some butter made with love, honey.
That's how you know when you don't have somebody's mad macaroni. You know it wasn't no love in that macaroni.
Girl,
You know when that food ain't made with love, just like you know when it's made with love. You know when that macaroni was made. Somebody was mad when they made that macaroni because you know that macaroni was made right.
didn't want to do it, didn't want to have no desire, didn't want to shop for it, didn't want to. Honey,
Mm-mm.
that's a whole
Mm-mm.
talk by itself. Love is being,
Mm-mm.
when you are doing that thing in love, the alignment shows. Like everything falls into place.
Mm-hmm.
Because even
Everything.
even even when you, how can I put it? Even when it looks like it won't. Like for example, if you are supposed to make the macaroni and cheese, and you want to make it and you want to do it, but your schedule's tight. The stores are getting ready to sell out everything, but you get to the store, the space right up front opens up. You get to the shelf, you get the last pack of cheese, you get the last pack of macaroni, you get everything that you need. When you are in alignment, will be available for you
Yes. It's your heart posture.
all the time. I know we over, but when we were going through with our son, our hearts were in such a good space. Like we wanted to do whatever God said to do. And see, you know that you're in alignment when the world tells you one thing and God says something else.
Mm-hmm.
And the world said that it's going to take 2.5 years to get through this process. God
Mm-hmm.
said, what did I say?
Mm-hmm.
If you love me and you believe that I want the best for you and your family, and you believe that I will not lead you wrong, you keep moving in spite of what you think you see. What was supposed to take 2.5 years took 2.5 months. When you are in alignment and you are operating in love, heaven redeems the time.
The time. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Heaven redeems the time all the time. See, people always talking about how they feel they missed out on so many things and they've lost so much time. Honey, you get into alignment and you start to operate in love, all of the things you thought you missed.
All right, let me say this and we're going to
Okay,
close.
yes, ma'am.
When you, not only does he redeem the time, everything that you just said you thought you lost, not only will he bring it back, he will bring it back with interest.
Oh, my God. My God.
Everything.
Everything.
He redeems the time. He brings back, that's opportunities, that's finances, that's relationships,
Mm,
that's jobs, that's increase. Any and everything that you thought you have lost,
mm,
you thought was stolen,
mm,
anything that the enemy thought he has taken from you, that's legally or illegally. You get an alignment and you do it in love and you are obedient, God will give it back to you with interest.
Girl, you just ministered to me. My God. Open up the windows, the floodgates, everything,
This
honey.
is why you have to make room for what's to come.
Yes.
When you get an alignment, make room.
Make room. Make room. Like the provision school, the woman with the oil. Mm.
Okay, y'all, let me tell you. So,
Almighty.
uh, all right. This is your commercial for tonight, and we are done. If you have not joined the 1212 community and you have not been a part of Provision School, please be a part of Provision School.
Honey.
I don't know what's going to happen. I can't explain it to you. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you what.
My God.
I'm the widow with the oil.
Honey.
I'm getting all my vessels. And I'm going to keep getting them vessels. You know, when I thought about that story about the widow and the oil and getting them vessels, they didn't say what size the vessels were, how many vessels she had. She just kept getting the vessels until she gathered them all. And the beautiful thing was is when you mentioned that because the people gave the vessels, they were a part of the blessing. See, sometimes we got to remember that we get blessed by blessing people in the midst of their
The
miracle.
miracle is all encompassing. The miracle, when the miracle is set in motion, it doesn't stop.
That's alignment too.
Honey, yes, you can walk past the person with the vessel and get blessed. It's all about being in proximity. This is why you think about it. When you are, who had the shadow that healed? Was it Paul? Who had the shadow?
It was Paul.
Paul. The shadow,
It was Paul.
the shadow healed. He ain't touched nobody. The shadow, being in proximity, the blessing, the miracle is all encompassing. The miracle keeps going. You know, people, we still living on the prayers of our great aunts, and honey, that don't stop. It don't stop unless you stop it. Think about it. The woman with the oil only stopped after she stopped collecting the vessels. The oil stopped. She stopped the blessing. The blessing did not stop. The blessing didn't stop. We stopped the blessing.
This is something I want us to remember. And I think I need to say this because it just came back to my mind. There are prayers in the heavens that have not been answered.
Ooh, my God. Now that one just
Because there are those in our families who have not been positioned to get them. God has already said yes. But if you position yourself, all those prayers that have yet to be answered, and you position
my
yourself,
God.
those answered prayers are yours. Because God has already said, yes, there are blessings. And see, those it's just like in those generations. We see it in the word all the time. There are those that are in lineage. There are those who were holy, and then there's those who stepped out of alignment and then they were unholy. Then there are those who came back in the lineage and then they became holy again. And then there are those who step back out. So you did there when you get back in alignment, they're circling. They're in the atmosphere. They're in the heavens. God has already said, yes, his word can never return back to him void. It has to accomplish what it's being sent to do. It has to complete its work. We have to be in position for it to complete its work. So when we get in alignment, we get to be a part of the completed work.
My God.
That's the other part about the alignment. The finished work you get to be a part of. That's the other part of the miracle.
My God.
So when you get in proper position and alignment, all of those things that are part of that, all those, what I call those retroactive, you know how you get retroactive pay? Stuff that's been sitting there for a long time, but then it finally get caught up. There are retroactive blessings that come when you get in alignment
My God.
in the right position.
Oh my God.
I'm prophetically speaking this. We're in a season, and because of this provision school, Alicia, and you have been obedient,
My God.
there are retroactive blessings that are going to be coming for those who are going to be walking through this provision school
Mm, mm, mm.
and understanding the provision of God, that retroactive blessings are going to come through generations,
My God.
and they're going to be testimonies that are going to come out of this.
My God. My God. Girl. Mm, my Lord. Whew. I'm so happy. Look, I'm so happy I was the chosen one to sit here with you on Monday nights. Look, you can get other people to come in. I'm gonna be sitting right here. You have ministered to me. I don't even know if I can sleep after this. My,
Girl,
my God, the
okay, y'all.
retroactive praise, the
Yeah,
retroactive blood, girl. Mm,
they on the way.
mm,
So y'all can go ahead and get in provision school. Go ahead and get signed up,
mm,
so you can go ahead and get the go back
mm.
and listen to what we've already been teaching,
Woo.
so you can get an alignment to get these retroactive blessings.
My God, today.
It's back pay season.
Ooh, my God. Mm, I'm ready. I am complete, girl. I'm full. Oh my God. We need to,
It's back pay
we
season.
need to do another one tomorrow night.
It's back pay season.
Oh my God.
Oh God, we thank you. Oh Lord. So we're gonna go ahead and close this out. Look, y'all, I pray it was as good for you as it was for us.
Mm,
Come back and be with us next week. Share this with someone, tag someone.
mm.
Please subscribe on our YouTube channel, like, and invite someone next week. Alicia, we still have to do Love Then, Love Now. We're going to have to get a day. I think we need to do that one live. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think we need to do that one live. I don't know
Oh,
how.
that'll be fun. You can do it on Zoom. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we're
can
going to
share
have to,
it.
yeah, we have to figure out. We just have to do a whole panel. We'll put that one together.
I'm here for it.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll have to do that Love Then, Love Now and get that love thing going on. But we love you all. We thank you for supporting us, for being here for the Evolve and Elevate with Errica. Yes, y'all, it is back. It's payback season. It's back pay season. It's here. Retroactive blessings are on the way. All right, you all. Be blessed. See you all next week. Take care.